So now I'm not going to repeat whatever our honorables, speakers they presented, but a few things I wish to highlight here. While working with the UNDP projects, JEF UNDP project, we established around 108 medicinal plant conservation units. Then also medicinal plant development area adjacent to that, the core area. And the Himalaya is quite vast. It starts from the Afghanistan, Pakistan, that area, and Myanmar, India, Bangladesh, all these it covers. It's not just our country. So there is a shared resources we have across this Himalayan range, and sometimes it is very difficult to distinguish if you see the material, raw material from where it has come from, whether it is from Sikkim or Bhutan China. It is very difficult in the market. So it is highly, intricate because the trade route is always there. It was there and it is there and it is continuing. So we have more than 8,000 species and 1,748 species utilized for medicinal purpose from the Himalayan range. The some of the work which I wish to show here is Uttarakhand when we were working. So we have worked on Tejpat collection. Then also the medicinal plant conservation areas which were identified in the higher altitude, middle altitude, and also in the lower altitudes. And trees, herbs, shrubs, there is this document you can see, and it's when it goes to market, it may or may not go in its own original form. For example, root, it may go in the form of powder. Then leaves, it may be full leaves or partially, dried and powdered leaves. We don't know. So there are various ways and methods in which it reached the market. If anyone of you have not seen Delhi 6, please go and visit. So you can see the huge herbal market. In the same way in South India, if you go to Madurai, you can see a huge herbal market. You can understand the wealth of India if you visit once. So these are the common problems which we see across the Himalayan range and also in other parts of the country. So liver problems and poisoning by insect bites and snake bites, then diseases related to the skin infections, the fever, and skeletal muscular problems, and sometimes there may be accident and such things. So we are dependent on the bone sitters locally. So these are the common problems, and also the solutions are available locally, but nowadays it is reducing because identification of the authentic folk healer is also a challenge, because earlier there were traditional healers. Now there is a complexity which has arisen because anyone, they will come in the society and claim themselves as a healer. That is why certification of healers is very important. Next. So this is the value in terms of US dollars. It is written here. So if you can cultivate this, of course there is a possibility, and we have the methods for cultivation. It's there in the public domain already. Otherwise also we can circulate it. So there is a huge volume for availability of the resource material. That is, we have nurseries and there are local nurseries and people who are available for training. So it is a large possibility for production. But however, there is a challenge, because when we think about production, the active principle, active compounds or secondary metabolites which are there in the medicinal plants, that will reduce, the quality of the resource will reduce. But there is an opportunity, because see next, these are some of the industries which are, openly declared how much they are looking for, the volume in metric tons. So, botanical healthcare, Unicorn, Sami Labs, then OmniActive, C+. So, there is a large demand for these medicinal plants. So, there is a possibility for cultivation, and also the improvement at the rural level for financial and economic development. Next. So these are the cultivation practices which are available. That is traditional, and also micro propagation is tried with some of these. In situ conservation, that is in nature, and ex situ is in the gardens or nurseries. There is a possibility. And this is the picture which talks about the working with herbal healers, identifying the many botanicals, and here in Arunachal, Pasighat, we have Youngam, this Lego madam who got the Padma Shri for her herbal healing, especially with the cancer patients. So this is the kind of formulation she gives, looking at the patient's information, and people come and stand in line and for days and they take the medicine. So and that's how we worked initially with the local people to create awareness about documentation of this traditional medicine, and also ground truthing we call, and what is available, resource, how much it is available, and how we can establish MPCA. So all these different kinds of work we were involved. So when we think about the solution at present, there is large scale demand, but supply is very less. And cultivation, there is a possibilities, nurseries also we can develop at regional level. But certain things like, for example, the lichens, can we cultivate? It is not impossible, because lichen is also an indicator of the nature. That is, when there is no pollution, you can find more and more lichens. But that is also used as a medicine, but you can't cultivate it. And when we think about the planning, that is, in bioresource management and production of more and more resources, we do not consider whether it is suitable to grow in a particular region or not. We just keep planting. Nowadays, that is a problem you see. Like when you think about development in terms of only the construction of roads, buildings, it is more of anthropogenic kind of interest. But if you see, even in Leh Ladakh, there are big roads and people stand in a line to cross the road. Means, what is the kind of development which is happening here? So there is lot of erosion and pollution which we are facing. So when we think about conservation, man is interested to conserve only when there is an economic benefit. Otherwise, nobody is interested to conserve anything. And we cannot conserve just one tree, one plant, one animal, one bird. The nature should be conserved as a whole. We can't just think about the hornbill. So yesterday I was looking at some data. I could find out the hornbill number, which is the state bird of Arunachal Pradesh, it is very less than 10%. But in Karnataka, it is more than 20%. So there is a variation among the people's perception and thinking about conservation. Because we have a lot of forest land even today here, we cannot go for keeping, undecided, undirected developmental activities, just thinking about connecting the people. Okay, so there is a conservation possibility, but we need to conserve nature as a whole. Then we can think about how much we can have for our future generation. Because when Jagannath Rao was saying about endangered species, vulnerable species and all, we can't conserve just Coptes tita. To conserve Coptes tita, we have to conserve the whole biosphere as a whole. So otherwise, conservation is not possible, and resources are always limited. There is no promise for the continuous production. It is not an Akshaya Patra to keep getting it all the time. And everything we cannot cultivate, everything we cannot grow. So this is my submission to all of you. So are you just waiting for some policy, or are you just looking for some schemes to be implemented, or as an individual can you take a call? For example, when you consider the avenue trees, there are a lot of trees which are exotic, which do not give any kind of sustainability. So if you, even today throughout India, if you think, you can see only Senna spectabilis, Pethodia, Jacaranda, Dilunix regia, Lantana, then bougainvillea everywhere. It is completely destructing the biodiversity. Color bougainvillea, everybody likes it, is easy to grow, isn't it? It's all exotic and invasive species. There are so many things like Elaeagnus, Stereospermum, Breddelia, Rhododendron, Erythrina, bamboos, ferns, which are easily available here locally, and you can promote growing it. You don't have to buy it from a nursery. It is available around your house. You can plant it as an avenue tree. Why it is not possible? There is a problem with our own system. We divide it as a forestry, as a horticulture, as agriculture, and so many different things. Plant is a plant, isn't it? We need to consider biodiversity as a whole. Very recently, I was, looking at some examples by Horticulture University. They were trying to plant the tamarind tree here. So what is the need of tamarind tree? There are so many other sour trees which are regionally, locally available. Why don't you plant it? And also the greediness of the people. So when we go for cultivation, large amount of land is destructed for cultivation, just to grow tomato or potato or something. So that will not bring health. Food is to satisfy your hunger and also to maintain the health. Okay, food should be a medicine and medicine should not be a food. So if we consider this kind of aspect and we think about conserving the biodiversity as a whole, we can conserve the medicinal plant and we can think about sustainability. Otherwise, in a very few next few generation, we are more and more, plants will come under endangered categories and we will lose it. So thank you very much. Thank you all speakers for bringing your thoughts here.